if you're the smartest person that's in a room, you're in the wrong room because there's no room for growth.
A lot of people are like, I want to be good at something, but you don't really put in the time, effort, live, breathe, sweat it to become it.
In this video, we're going to share with you how we reprogrammed our mind for success. That's right, wealth has a way that you're supposed to think, and we're about to share that with you right now. I am here with my lovely husband, Joshua Giles, and I'm excited because although I felt like he was further along than I was for a while, this year has been a tremendous year for us. We reprogrammed, well, I'm going to say I reprogrammed my mind for success in an amazing way. And one of those ways had a lot to do with the people that I got around. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that I wasn't around great people before. It just means that I got into rooms that, people would want to be in, but these rooms were rooms of people who were smarter than I was, or at least had amazing wisdom that I didn't have. What does that mean? It means don't be afraid to be in rooms where there are smarter people than you. I learned a few years ago that if you're the smartest person that's in a room, you're in the wrong room because there's no room for growth, right?
That's right. When you're doing growth and you're helping, put together pieces for your mind to grow and to accomplish a skill, you really have to put some pressure on your own walk so that you can grow and expand. Most people live in a state of comfort, and so that state of comfort really hinders growth.
Right.
I remember Michael Jordan talking about playing with older guys and getting beat all the time, but that forced him to get better at his game.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing when I would train athletes or play myself. I always wanted to. I even when I was younger played at levels that it was not my age group because I was so advanced, but I needed to keep pressing myself to limitations that would only force me to grow.
That is so good. So I believe this year, yes, it was this year, we ended up having this amazing idea to go to an amazing conference. It was a business conference. And what's amazing about this business conference is that we didn't realize that it was going to turn into this whole kingdom business conference type thing. And the reason why I'm saying this is because it wasn't advertised as this. It was really just advertised as a business conference. And when we went in there, I'm telling you, our life was wrecked for like 3 days. What I mean by wrecked, it means that literally I felt like I was born again, literally through this 3 days of business training of there was kingdom teaching. I saw the Bible in a whole different view. And let me tell you what that did for me. I was like, oh my gosh, all these things that you've been sharing with me, my husband, everything that you've been sharing with me for so long, I'm just now getting it. It's just now really hitting me. And I just didn't see it from that perspective. God wants us to walk in wealth. Why do you think it is that some people don't see that? Some people fight that. Why?
The container they're in.
Container.
Yeah, now watch this. This is powerful because this just dropped in me the moment we're talking about expanding our mind for success. God just showed me a container. If you put a shark or a gator inside of an aquarium, they'll never grow past the aquarium. They're limited by the container that they're placed in.
Wow.
And so if you take them into a pond, they're going to grow full size. But your container can limit you to how far you can grow. And so if you're stuck in a container and that container isn't conducive to the vision you have or where you're going, you'll never be able to walk in that capacity. And so you really have to open yourself up to a greater level of skill and understanding, which when we look at Proverbs 23:23, it says, buy wisdom and sell it not, which when you read it means buy the truth and sell it not, wisdom, instruction, and understanding. Wow. And so you pay for college because you need wisdom, instruction, and understanding. You're buying education.
Yeah.
God has stated it as a biblical principle. You go to college because you want a higher level of education, a higher level of learning. So you have to look in the field that you're called to and find the people who are where you want to be and invest in their information, their knowledge, and grow in it if you want to walk it out.
That is super powerful, because actually I have here all my notes right here, because I didn't want to forget it. And you said the word container. I have here on my notes, I realized that I had a limiting mindset.
Yep.
It was so limited. Like, I have shared before on a broadcast, and I've said that our words sometimes betray us. And sometimes my words were betraying me. Like, I would be like, I have so much faith. I believe that God gives us the power to get wealth, but I wasn't really walking that walk.
Yeah.
Our life changed so dramatically from that 3-day conference that when we actually went to a ministry event, this was a ministry event we had now, when we went, people were saying, there's something different about you.
Yes,
I'm going to tell y'all what hit me. Deuteronomy 8:18 says that God gives us the power to get wealth. We see it, we read it, we see that Abraham walked in wealth. We see so many kingdom business entrepreneurs. We see Christian entrepreneurs. We see regular people doing business. And it just hit me all of a sudden that, like, my mindset was limited, where I've seen you so many times say, hey, you can do this. And I'm like, I don't think I can. I don't think I can. You're like, yes, you can. What do you mean? We do this all the time. I always share with people that my husband, I feel like, has been confident probably from the womb. And I wasn't walking in that yet, but he was trying to really help me. And just getting into the room with people who were walking at that level, with people who were, the language was, I've made millions of dollars, like $1 million in one day. I've made like 5 million in one day. You're like, how is this even possible? Being in the room with that level of people and realizing that it was kingdom entrepreneurs as well, but they didn't say it was kingdom, but they just spoke that language because it was already in them. Mind-blowing.
Oh, absolutely. That was one of the greatest life-changing moments we ever went to, was, you know, being led to that, our mentor now, Myron Golden.
Right.
And the guy, the information and biblical principles in this person is so mind-blowing. It's a gift to the church.
Right.
And it's a gift to people who would just listen, you know. And it wasn't even a Christian conference. There was a lot of people from all over, but the principles stand true. And so when the people stood on that stage and said, I had $1 million day, I had a $5 million week, I had a $100,000 hour, you know, all of these crazy numbers, you're like, what? How is that possible, right? And when you start breaking down everything that we learned, it was really looking at the container of limiting beliefs. And you don't realize how many limitations you've placed on your mind that is stopping you from the prosperity God has promised you. And it could be you, it could be your culture, it could be your family, it could be your environment. You have to look all around you, because everything has a voice. And the culture has a voice, your family has a voice. Well, you know, in my family, this is how we do it. Well, you know, my grandmother went to this church, so I'm going to this church. Yet your destiny is being hindered because God is telling you to go somewhere else. But you say, because of your family, you need to go here. So you have to learn to separate yourself from any other voice that's speaking into your life outside of that of God. And when God speaks to you and gives you instructions and says, hey, I've positioned you for greatness, I want you to do this, you're going to have to expand your thoughts a little bit. You're going to have to think a little differently than the average person. Yeah, you're going to be persecuted. Yeah, you're going to be looked at different. But do you want what I have for you? And if you say yes to that, then he'll say, now I can speak to you. Now I can show you the instructions. And your mind will be blown at what can take place.
That's wild. I believe it was Jim Rohn who said that you are the average of the 5 people that you are around. Like, when I heard that quote, my life changed as well. And the reason why is I began to examine, and I said, who is around me? What voices are around me? So when I got into that space of other entrepreneurs, I realized that entrepreneurs think different, and I realized that they actually operate in more faith than some normal Christians do. And the reason why is because it takes a lot of faith to be an entrepreneur. Right?
Definitely.
And so I had to reprogram my mind to understand that I had to think a different way. I started reading books that shifted my life. And one book was, I believe, by Rabbi Daniel Lapin, and it's called Business Secrets from the Bible. And in there, he talks about how Jewish people, how they actually conduct business, it's like a biblical thing. And he also said that everyone is not doing just one thing. Everyone plays their part. And once I started understanding that, like, I found myself thinking about business in a different way.
Yeah.
I found myself thinking about finances in a different way. It was
Now, is that the book too that you said that if it's not according to their purpose, they pay someone to do it?
Absolutely.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's touch on that.
Yeah, that's
really
good.
Quick. I don't know if you heard that, but in that book, you guys have to grab that book. In that book, he talks about if it's not your assignment, you pay someone else to do it. If it takes away from you walking in your assignment, if it takes away from you doing the call God has you to do, then you pay someone else to do it. And I thought that was so beautiful because that's almost like the law of business, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like, hey, if you are the person who bake and I'm the truck person, while you bake, I can be the truck person that takes your goods
Yeah.
to the customer, to
Yeah.
the consumer. And that's the way it's supposed to work.
Don't try to be the baker and the driver.
Oh, say that again.
Yeah, don't try to be the baker and the driver.
How are we being the baker and the
Yep.
driver?
You're trying to do everything. You're trying to master all the facets of business, and you fail because you'll be diminished in each one of those spots. And so we've learned it personally that it takes a team and
Yeah.
it takes the right people. So with that in mind, you need a team, but you also need the right people.
Right.
If you have a team and the wrong people, that's still just detrimental. It's just as bad.
Yeah.
So you have to first know I can't do it myself. And then next prayer, bring the right people, God. Bring the ones who are called to support the vision,
Yeah.
who are the right resources, or the right mouthpiece, who are skilled and talented. When I look in the Old Testament, there's many scriptures that says, and I have placed the skill of wisdom upon this individual who can carve and do these things. Then God says, I placed the skill of wisdom on this individual to be able to do these things.
Come on.
And so he was highlighting, I gave that one wisdom and skill, I gave this one wisdom and skill, but they were different departments. And so you have to really find those who fit within the tune of the organization as a whole,
Yeah.
and then scale that. But there has to be a foundation set of what the principles you believe in, what you're about, and the vision of the house, and then God will bring the right people.
That is so good. Now, you told me something this year as well that changed my life. This had me thinking in a different way, but it also gave me time. Listen to what I say, time. You told me to learn a skill, and you say, develop it for 90 days.
Oh, that's right.
He told me, he said, shut yourself in for 90 days on something you just learned and don't put your attention on anything else. So after we got back from that 3-day conference, everything that I absorbed and then that we decided to work on to build, because we were going to build our coaching businesses, we were going to build our consulting firms, we were building the studio. We were like, we need to focus.
Yeah.
90 days. I think we're about at that time. And everyone's kind of been like, where have you been?
Yeah.
Y'all? Like share with them like something about that, because it was so powerful when you told me.
About the, so you lock yourself in and you acquire a skill, you acquire a mastery. And so you can't be good at something until you immerse yourself.
Yeah.
And immersion creates mastery, right? And so, a lot of people are like, I want to be good at something, but you don't really put in the time, effort, live, breathe, sweat it to become it. You have to become it. Baseball was my thing, and I told my professors, I don't need a textbook. I'm not here for school. I'm here for baseball. I immersed myself in baseball, yet I failed my classes. So although it's funny, it's good because I drove myself to a specific thing, and I knew that that was within me.
Yeah.
So when God placed within me and my wife, hey, it's time to go to the next level in business because you're going to be a financial deliverer to people. I said, okay, I'm going to immerse myself to where I wake up, I'm thinking, to where I'm dreaming it, I'm speaking it. It comes out and I don't even realize it's there. That's true immersion, okay? And so you can't master something until you dedicate time in it. So you have to be very meticulous in what you put your effort toward. Because if you keep messing up on what you're putting your energy toward, you waste time.
Wow. I was so consumed with everything that we were doing at the moment. Live, breathe, eat. Like we were talking it. I think I turned my husband crazy for a second because he was like, now you're in my world.
Now you get it. You see what I
You
think,
get
yeah.
it. And I remember I was like, this is amazing. This is what we need to do. And he's like, slow down, slow down. But you need to understand, when a part of your assignment wakes up,
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's more to your story. if you're a woman here watching, a man here watching, and you're like, I feel like I'm just doing this right now, I'm gonna tell you right now, there's more to your story. Sometimes it comes by meeting someone different. And when you meet someone, you're like, another part of you just unlocked. And so this year, the whole business side of me unlocked. I've coached before. I've done all these things before. My husband does ads. We coach people on, consulting for their business, on building their business. But this year there was a passion for it that arose for me. And the reason why is because I wanted to see God's people prosper.
Yeah.
And when that wakes up on the inside of you, you are literally waking up with a purpose. There's more than just like, I want to go make money. No, I woke up this year and I was like, I want to build generational wealth.
Yeah, that's right.
So my mind started being reprogrammed and
Yep.
thinking finances aren't bad. I want to leave a legacy for our kids.
Yep.
Right?
That's true. And the devil wants to attack money and always focus on maybe people who aren't stewarding things properly.
Yeah.
Because steward just means manager. And you own nothing in this earth. You own nothing in this earth. You're called to manage it, right? That's what God says. And so if some of his sheep aren't managing properly, doesn't mean the principle doesn't still stand. Money's still good, right? Even in Genesis it says, and the gold was good, and it was very good, right? So he's even saying it's very good, and the dollar's backed up on gold. And so we look at money answereth all things, right? So if you want to leave an inheritance, you want to be a good man that leaves an inheritance to his children's children, you have to be blessed.
Right.
And you have to figure out what the culture and wineskin is in this generation that God is blessing his people so that your generations experience that. Because every generation is going to be different in the wineskin that produces wealth. Every generation is different.
Yeah.
Now, Proverbs 24 Verse 3 says, by wisdom a house is built. So foundation is always wisdom. It says wisdom is the principal thing. It's the most important. That word principal means the most important thing, right? And it says, and by understanding it is established. So when you have understanding, you have the ability to decipher mysteries, right? God speaks in parables, mysteries. It's revelations and things that you can't just understand through natural means. It takes a spiritual height.
Well, business is spiritual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It takes a spiritual understanding to really have an understanding, which the Bible says causes establishment.
Yeah.
Now, here's a key point. The last part of that scripture says, by knowledge, the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. Okay, so it takes all three components to experience breakthrough, understanding, how to put it on paper, how to apply it, and the skill of knowledge to cause what you've created from the wisdom side to the spiritual understanding to what I put my hands to now produces a result in the earth.
Yeah.
And that all comes from those things. That's why it says a house is built. He's talking about what you can build.